Hello and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. Now before we kick off today's video, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and do not forget to turn on that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I make a new video. Enjoy the video. I'm super excited to be back with championship score predictions for game week 2. Game week 1 certainly did not disappoint, and yeah, there's so much to talk about, so many interesting games going on this weekend. So yeah, enjoy the video and let's get things going. So here's a reminder of the score system. So you get 2 points for the correct side, 3 points for an accurate score, and a bonus point if I was to predict a game with like 5 or more goals. If any of you want to play along in the comments, feel free to do so. My points total for the season after game week 1 is 15. So hopefully we'll be looking to better that this week. And we start out with Derby versus Coventry. So I think last weekend overall for both sides was not the start of the season they both wanted. Coventry drew 0-0 to Hull, and then Derby lost 3-1 away at Stoke. So neither game for either team was particularly good. However, in the Carabao Cup, Coventry beat Luton 1-0. Which was a good victory, I guess, to build back a bit of momentum, which they didn't have from the weekend. And then Derby beat West Brom as well, albeit on penalties, but still beat West Brom. So they both had better fortune in the Carabao Cup. So I'm interested how these two sides match up this weekend, to be honest with you. I think there's two decent managers here in Frank Lampard and John Eustace going up against each other. And obviously it's being held at Pride Park as well, and I don't know whether that slightly swings it in Derby's favour, but I am going to go and play for a 1-1 draw. I don't think there's going to be a lot to separate these sides. I think it's two sides that are gonna be at the in the top half of the table this season. I think Derby are going to be pushing up higher than they were last season, and obviously Coventry will probably be in and around the playoffs. But yeah, but I think it's still going to be quite tight, and it's going to be a 1-1 draw, which I think Coventry will probably be a bit more happy with than Derby, I would imagine, because I think Derby could win it, to be fair. Next up, we go to Fratton Park for Portsmouth versus Norwich. So last weekend was a tale of two sides, I think it's fair to say. Norwich lost 2-1 at home to Millwall, and then Portsmouth won 1-0 away at Oxford. And I think Portsmouth winning 1-0 away at Oxford was a really positive result, as obviously it was their away form last season, I thought, which hindered them from pushing on quite a bit, really, throughout the season. Because obviously at Fratton Park, they are normally very, very reliable. And then for Norwich, I just thought it was individual mistakes, really, that cost them throughout that game, based on the goals that they conceded. I also know that the kind of football being played wasn't exactly what Norwich fans were hoping for under Liam Manning. So yeah, that wasn't a particularly good watch at all for. Next up, we go to Wrexham versus West Brom, and this is Wrexham's first home game of the season. I'm sure this season for Wrexham they're going to be looking to make their home games very successful, because I think that's especially where they are good at. Away games they'll just be looking to get the points where they can, but yeah, at home they're going to be definitely looking to pick up as many points as possible. And they start their home campaign against an interesting side, to be honest. West Brom, who obviously beat Blackburn 1-0 at the weekend, and then lost to Derby on penalties in the cup in the week. And yeah, this season I think it's going to certainly be an interesting one for West Brom. I've seen loads of different people not knowing what to expect from them. I think to start the season at home with a solid 1-0 victory. I know they weren't perfect throughout the whole game, but to start with a win I think was very, very important. Now we go to Ewood Park for Blackburn versus Birmingham. So obviously last weekend they played on the Friday night, kicked off the season against Ipswich. And yeah, I thought as the game went on, I was like, I think Birmingham got this in the bag. And then they obviously get the contentious, Ipswich get a contentious penalty decision at the end, which then makes it a 1-1 draw. And I think Birmingham were obviously very much kicking themselves after that game because that was a good opportunity to start the season with a win. But then, as I said, a decision went their way depending on how you view that decision. Personally, I think it was a penalty, but I can understand the frustrations in it at the same time. Um, so yeah, I think Birmingham will be kicking themselves. And Blackburn, they went to West Brom. West Brom's never an easy place to go. And they obviously came out with a 1-0 loss. And yeah, now they're back at home this weekend, but next up we go to my team Bristol City against Charlton. So I think last weekend was a very, very positive one for Charlton, all things considered. Nathan Jones as well was loving the celebrations at the end of the game. And yeah, obviously I think they controlled the game really for the large majority of it. But then as the game was fizzling out, it looked like would Charlton be able to get a goal? But then obviously Harvey Nibbs stepped up at the end in 90 plus 4 minutes to go and get the win for Charlton, which I think was really, really positive for them because I think they can pick up some good points at the start of the season, then they can build a bit of momentum and try and push on throughout the season. So yeah, I think that was a really, really positive game for them. And as a City fan, I'm very nervous for this game. I think last weekend against Sheffield United was an absolutely outstanding result because obviously we didn't go there expecting to win 4-1. So Next up, we go to the Den for Millwall versus Middlesbrough. So both sides won over the weekend in the Championship. Millwall got a decent 2-1 away victory at Norwich. Obviously their first at Carrow Road for a very, very, very long time. And then Middlesbrough beat Swansea 1-0, even though that was a game of very little chances, with a Dale Fry goal separating the two sides there. So yeah, I think overall that was both sides were obviously happy to start off with a win, but I do think they're going to be separated by quite a bit here, to be honest. Obviously Millwall beat Newport 1-0 in the Carabao Cup, which is an all right result for them. Even though I think they're going to be putting a lot of emphasis towards the league this season, because I think they've got a lot in their squad, a lot of players in their squad who could cause havoc in the league this season, such as Ivanovic and next up we go to Preston versus Leicester. So last weekend Preston drew 1-1 away at QPR, which I think was on the whole a positive result for them, because I predicted them to lose going into the game, as did a few other people, I think. So I think to go away from there with a 1-1 draw, is a decent result, all things considered. Leicester as well, they got a 2-1 win against a Sheffield Wednesday side, who I was expecting Leicester to batter, I have to be honest, as did a load of other people say that. So yeah, so so I thought they'd do a bit better against Sheffield Wednesday, and they obviously didn't. And then they lost to Huddersfield, well, yesterday on penalties after drawing 2-2 throughout the game. So yeah, Leicester haven't quite started the season how I thought they might. Obviously they got a looming points deduction. Next up, we go to Sheffield Wednesday versus Stoke. And my apologies, Sheffield Wednesday fans, for predicting you to get hammered over the weekend. Obviously, in the end, Sheffield Wednesday players gave a very, very good account of themselves, holding out Leicester for a very, very long time. I feel that red card to Barry Bannon changed the game quite a bit. But the good news for Sheffield Wednesday is he is back this weekend, which I think is very helpful, especially with the limited options they got available in the squad. And obviously, similarly as well for Sheffield Wednesday, they also beat Bolton as well in a very dramatic game, all in all, winning on penalties in the end after a 3-3 draw. So I thought that was certainly an interesting game, and I don't know what to expect from this one. Obviously, Stoke had a really, really good start to the season. Obviously, Now we speak about Swansea versus Sheffield United. So Swansea were obviously on the road to Middlesbrough over the weekend, where they ended up losing 1-0. That was a game where it was very, very few chances, and it probably, showed that Swansea needs some more, kind of goal scorers, I guess, in that team, really, because I think that really is where they are. They are lacking right now. Um, and then obviously Sheffield United lost 4-1 at home to Bristol City, which wasn't a good result for them at all. I thought they had moments in the game where they showed, some quality, especially in the goal they scored. I thought, it was a really, really solid goal. And, they had other times. I remember Louis Barry had a shot which Radek Vitek saved very well. So they showed moments, Sheffield United, but obviously they weren't able to get anything out of that game. So I think both. Next up, we go to Watford versus QPR. Obviously, Watford lost on the road 1-0 to Charlton last weekend, and well, I think from what I read about the game, I think Watford were they were the worst team throughout pretty much the 90 minutes. Charlton deserved the win in the end. And then obviously they lost 2-1 at home to Norwich in the week as well. So they've started the season with two defeats. And then for QPR, they drew 1-1 at home to Preston, which I think is I think that's a result they'll be slightly kicking themselves over, because I think. Next up, we go to the first all newly promoted relegated Premier League teams from last season. The first matchup of them, which is Ipswich versus Southampton. Obviously, both teams managed to pick up points over the weekend, but I don't think either team was in their best form at all. Ipswich obviously ended up getting a 1-1 draw away at Birmingham, thanks to a late penalty converted by George Hurst. So I don't think Ipswich were at their firing best there at all. Southampton obviously got two late goals to go and beat Wrexham, which I think was very professional, like kind of the way they just did it towards the end. A very, very good Ryan Manning free kick before Stevens knocked in a good goal at the end. So I think Southampton will be, they'll carry a bit of momentum from that game, because I think that was a positive result in the end, which was not looking to be as good as it turned out to be. Then obviously in the And on the Sunday game this week, we go to Hull versus Oxford. Oxford will obviously be kicking themselves after losing 1-0 at home to Portsmouth over the weekend. I remember a Gary Rowett quote saying just before the season kicked off, they were a little bit behind in their pre-season fitness and whatever. So, yeah, I don't think that was a good result. To be losing to a team that they could be competing with this season in terms of, if Oxford managed to push on, even though I'm not sure they'll be able to with the quality in the league. I think Hull left a pretty decent account of themselves going away from the CBS when they played Coventry, going away with a 0-0 draw. I think it was a very, very good defensive performance, especially from the likes of Hughes, who's obviously still being linked away. But if they manage to keep him there, I think that's just sensational for Hull because I think, yeah, he's such an important player. And I think that was the key thing really from their performance. The defensive side of it was just, really, really good. But, I really do worry. And so that wraps up today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to put in the comments your score predictions. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.